let's talk about parenting tips and why most of them don't last. So if parenting hacks work for 1 week and then fall apart, there's a reason. And understanding child behavior, how to stay calm, and gentle parenting principles require more than just quick fixes. And I know that you know what I'm talking about. You find a tip on Instagram, you try it, it works for a few days, you think, yes, I finally figured it out. And then a week later, you're right back where you started and you're left thinking, what happened? Why did it stop working? And why have I failed once again? So mama, if this is you, if you feel like you've tried every hack, every tip, every strategy, and nothing actually sticks when it comes to your conscious parenting, your positive parenting, or addressing any behavior issues, I completely feel you because I've been there and it's frustrating. And you need real parenting support and parenting skills, not more hacks. So the mom like burnout from trying everything is so real and so intense. If you've been on this journey with me through all 10 videos, I want to say thank you so much, seriously. And make sure you hit like and subscribe because we're always sharing parenting tips and I don't want you to miss a thing. So let's talk about what this feels like when you've tried or when you are trying to figure out how to stay calm and practice mindful parenting, okay? You want real change, not just a week of calm mornings or a few good bedtimes. You want consistent, sustainable shifts that don't require you to constantly be on or perfect. You want help breaking bad habits that keep showing up. And every time like you try something new, it's like you're starting from scratch, okay? So the hack works for a minute, but then it falls apart and you're back to the chaos and yelling and feeling like you're failing. So the most exhausting part is that you start to wonder if anything will ever actually work. And maybe you're just not cut out for this. Maybe your kid is just too difficult and you're just not the kind of mom that you want to be. It's just not you. And I'm here to tell you what's really going on, okay? Because that's not true. So hacks only fix the symptoms. They don't fix systems. A hack is like slapping on a Band-Aid on a wound that needs stitches. It might stop the bleeding for a second, but it's not actually healing anything at the root, okay? So when you build a system, when you address the whole picture, like through the trifecta focus, which is the child, the self, and the environment, that's when you get lasting change. So let me break it down for you. Here's why hacks stop working. Number one, they only address one piece. So most parenting tips focus on just one thing: how to stop tantrums, how to get your kid to listen, how to fix bedtime. But behavior doesn't happen in like a vacuum, right? It's influenced by your child's developmental stage, your own triggers, and the environment that you're in. So if you only change one piece and the other pieces pull everything over here, it's all going to go back to where it was, right? So number two is that they don't build capacity. A hack gives you a quick tool, but it doesn't build your child's emotional capacity or your own. It doesn't teach them how to regulate their emotions or help you understand your triggers. So when the next hard thing comes up, you're back to square one because nobody actually learned anything, okay? They're also not sustainable. Hacks are often requiring you to be perfect, to remember the exact script, to stay calm 100% of the time, to implement a complicated system every single day. And when you can't maintain that level of perfection because you're human, then the whole thing falls apart, right? So when both of my kiddos were going through a really tough phase with bedtime, I tried everything. I tried the reward chart, I tried special bedtime routine, I tried staying calm and patient, and they'd all work for a little bit, or just like in some way they would feel like they were working, but then something would throw us off. Like one kiddo would get sick, or we'd have a busy day, or I'd just be too tired to do the whole routine that day. And then we'd be right back to bedtime battles. And I remember thinking like, why can't I just make this work? And it was my own exhaustion and short fuse. It was the environment being too stimulating right before bed. It was their need for connection after a long day. It was all three of these things, right? And I needed to address all three for anything to actually stick. So let me explain to you how the trifecta of focus creates real lasting change instead of temporary fixes. So the first focus area is a child, and this is where you fill your child's core needs up. You make sure that those feel like they're being met for your child. And you build your child's emotional and developmental skills along with yours. You're not just managing their behavior. You're tapping into what their psyche needs at a root level. And you're teaching them how to identify their emotions, how to regulate, how to problem solve. So instead of just stopping a tantrum, you're teaching them frustration tolerance. You're teaching them how to use their words. You're teaching them how to take a break when they need one. That's skill building. And that's capacity building, and that lasts, right? And then focus area 2 is the self. And this is where you do your own work. You're building the skills along with your children, you're growing with them, but you also need to focus on yourself to identify your triggers, to learn how to regulate your own nervous system. You heal the patterns from your childhood that are showing up in your parenting. Because here's the truth. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and I know that you've heard that before. But I need to tell it to you again. You can't teach your child to regulate if you're not learning to regulate yourself, right? And then we have the third focus area, which is environment. This is where you create systems, rhythms, physical spaces that support calm instead of chaos. So you predict or you create a predictable flow. You reduce that sensory overload. You design your home in a way that makes cooperation easier for everyone instead of like kind of fighting against you, right? And when all three of these focus areas align, when you're building your child's skills, your own skills, you're doing your own healing work, you're strengthening your environment, that's when everything starts to shift. Now, I know what you might be thinking, like, Nikki, that sounds like a lot of stuff to do. I don't got time for that. So how am I supposed to do all of that at once? And here's the best part is that you don't do it all at once. Okay? That was one of the things that held me back so much when I was searching for answers for my family. Is like everything it told me I needed to completely change my personality and uproot my whole family and change our lives and then we'd be good to go. Like, what? No, you take one small integrated shift per week. One tool from the child focus area, one tool from the self focus area, one tool from the environment focus area, and then in week 4, you practice all three together. And it's not about overhauling your entire life. It's about small, doable steps that compound over time. So let me show you what this looks like in real time. So we have week 1 of the month would be the child focus week. You teach your child one simple calming strategy, like taking 3 deep breaths when they're upset. And you practice that together the whole week. Week 2 is self-focus. You're going to identify your warning signs for when you're about to lose your patience and practice one grounding technique all week long. And then week 3 is going to be environment focus. You create one predictable anchor point in your day, like a calm morning routine, and you practice that every day for 1 week. And then the 4th week of the month is integration. You practice all 3, and you notice that mornings are calmer, meltdowns are shorter, you're responding instead of reacting. That's the compound effect. So small shifts layer over time, creating big transformation. And here's what I need you to hear today, mama. Real change, it's not like flashy. It's not a magic tip that fixes everything overnight. Real change is quiet and consistent. It's small choices made over and over again that build into a completely different experience of motherhood and family life. And when you commit to this approach, when you address the whole system instead of just battling the symptoms, you're not just changing behavior, you're changing your entire family dynamic. So here's my invitation to you to stop chasing hacks, okay? Stop hoping for the one magic solution and instead commit to the real work. The work of building emotional skills in you and your child, the work of healing your own patterns, and the work of creating an environment that supports everybody. That's the work that lasts, and that's the work that transforms. And I know that this work is hard. I know it's not fast, and I know there's days when You'll wonder if it's even worth it. And I promise you, it is. Because every small step that you take towards understanding and healing and intentional parenting, that's a step towards the home that you always wanted. The relationship that you've always wanted with your kids. The future for your children, setting them up for that happy, successful life that you want for them, helping them to grow into their best potential. And you've got this. You don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to keep showing up. So thank you so much for being here with me for all 10 videos of this 10-part course. If you found value in this series, make sure that you're subscribed, because I'm going to keep bringing you content that helps you build that calm, connected home that you've always wanted. And I'll see you in the next one, Mama. Keep going. You are doing better than you think. I promise.